Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube live video. And I'm just out here double checking that I am live where I would like to be, which hopefully I am out here on my YouTube channel. So just pulling up the video so that I can see hopefully your comments and things coming in. So thanks so much for joining. If you are today, I appreciate it. And I have a new phone, so I'm hoping that things are going to go okay on it. I can see it's already got a little different view than what you normally get, so I don't know if I can sort of zoom in a little bit, maybe not too much. Hopefully, whoop, that's probably too much. Okay, I think that's better. So anyway, so hopefully I've got things set up here so that it's not too crazy and crookedy. Like I said, hey Patricia, hi Denise, thanks so much for hopping in. So getting used to the new phone, so a little different. That's all I'll say. It's the camera on it works a little differently than my old one did. So anyway, but I am out here. Happy that you guys, hey Rosie, thanks for joining. Happy that you guys are joining in today. We are going to be playing with the Meadow stamp set, which is a really fun stamp set from the January to June 2020 mini catalog. So it's a good one. There are no sentiments in it, but it is one of those cool scene type stamp sets, which I really like. I know that some people are a little nervous using them, so I like to show you. Hey, Karen, glad you were able to hop in, and I see Barbara's here too, so thanks for joining. So I like to show people how I use them. I'm not not that awesome, but I like to show you how I use them, and you can really make some neat cards with it. I know a lot of people get frustrated because they can't quite figure out where to begin with them, so I'll give you a couple tips along the way about how I start with them, and we will get stamping from there. So we are using the Meadow stamp set, which I already talked about that a little bit. The Beauty Abounds stamp set, which is where the sentiment is from, the little hello in here. Which this one is from the 2019 to 2020 annual catalog. And I don't know, I'm hoping it'll carry over to next year, but we shall see. We actually get to find out on April 22nd what it will be carrying over and what's going to go away. So we will have to keep our eyes out for that. So the other thing that we have here is the Stitched So Sweetly dies. And these are currently, they're back ordered far enough that they are turned off for ordering, unfortunately, for the moment. But it's only a temporary thing. So they are supposed to be back in stock. They're saying the week of April 13th. So I'm hoping, have my fingers crossed, that that is true. So that's not too terribly far away from here. So hey, Karen, thanks for hopping in. I can see you're here too. So anyway, I just wanted to show you these dies and tell you quickly that they are temporarily shut off for ordering, but they are going to be coming back. So yay, I'm happy to hear that. And just keep an eye out on the online store and you'll see when they get back in. So that's the card we're going to be making today. And before we get going on the card, I did want to tell you one thing really quickly, that our team is actually doing something fun. I'm sure that you have seen the Ornate Garden product suite, which is a new suite from the upcoming 2020 to 2021 annual catalog from Stampin' Up. It's been all over the place. If you haven't seen it, there are details on my blog today. The product is available now for sale, which is awesome. But we are doing a little team event on Saturday, April 18th, from 1 until about 6 o'clock in the evening. It may run a little bit later, depending on if we have some additional people hop in. Hey, Karen, look at that. Got 3 Karens right here in a row. So glad that you're here today. So we are doing a fun event with our team. We're going to set up a Facebook page and start inviting people to that a little bit closer to the event. And we will let you hop on. And we're going to be doing some sharing, doing live videos out on Facebook, as well as just posting projects throughout the time throughout that time frame, I should say, just pictures and information about projects that we've created with this awesome suite. So mark it on your calendars. Keep an eye on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe so that you can keep an eye out and keep an ear out. And I'm sure I'll be posting. Is it on back order too? Is what on back order too, Karen? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking about. So anyhow, so let me know and I will answer your question on that. But the Ornate Garden product suite is available to order now, so customers can start grabbing up those items. And hope that you'll be able to hop in on the 18th of April and join us for some fun stuff too. So, hey, Julie, nice to see you here. I'm glad that you're here as well. So All right, so let me set the card aside so that I hopefully don't make a mess of it. And try to get a few things set up. Now, I am going to tell you, I have like 50 billion stamps on blocks right now. So there's a fair amount of stamping involved in this card, which is kind of fun. Normally I do them, they're a little bit quicker. So, oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that, Julie. Hopefully, Ohio, you're doing well and staying well. And right now, my seasonal allergies, I can tell, are starting to kick in. I'm a little more runny-nosed and things that I normally am, but we're making it through. So I'm starting with, I guess I should get started with what I'm starting with. I've got a pool party card base cut to 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and then we have a piece of the Designer Series paper from the Parisian Blossom Specialty Designer Series paper, using a little bit of liquid glue and just adhering that down to the card front. And it covers the entire card front, so I generally tend to use liquid glue so that I have a little bit of wiggle room before things are stuck down. One of the sets of dies is on back order currently. They are scheduled to be back in stock on May 8th, I believe. But you can still order them, so just know that they just won't be arriving for a little bit. So it's the Ornate Borders dies. So yes, you are correct. The Ornate Borders dies are on back order. But like I said, you can still add them to your order at this point. So go out and get them ordered. So definitely some good stuff. All right, we got a little piece of the Granny Apple Green Designer Series paper from the Brights 6x6 Designer Series paper stack. All the measurements for this are going to be posted out on my blog tomorrow, so I should probably try to remember them, but I know that I won't, and I will get them all wrong. So check the measurements on the blog post tomorrow, and I will link it up here in the video comments as soon as I get the blog post done as well. So adhering that to some Granny Apple Green cardstock, and then we're going to take that and adhere it right here to the card front. And get that done. All right. Hey, Dee, I'm glad you're able to hop on too. Good to see you here today. So have another piece of Designer Series paper. We have a little challenge on our team this month to use up our Designer Series paper because I know we all tend to hoard it. So I'm kind of using lots of Designer Series paper. This is from the Pressed Petals Specialty Designer Series paper pack, and using a little bit of snail to adhere it on to a piece of soft suede cardstock. And then I'm going to adhere that to the card front as well. Hopefully once I get this adhered on somewhat straight. Hopefully you all are enjoying your Friday. It's been fairly quiet here, although I hear the gardeners are coming down the street. There's a company here, and they kind of do all the lawns in this area, and I can hear them coming down the street, so I am sure that before I'm done with this video, we're going to be hearing the blowers and the lawnmowers going. So I apologize for that if it does start up in the background. I will try to get the video done as quickly as I can so that hopefully we'll make it through before they get here. Got a little bit of linen thread. I'm going to wrap it around the card base twice, and I'm almost out of this pack of linen thread. Good thing I have like 12 others. This is one of those things that I can never be without. It's sort of like dimensionals and glue dots. I can't ever run out of linen thread because I use it on everything. So it's one of my favorite embellishments because it just kind of goes with everything. So nice little neutral piece that you can add in, just adds a little bit of something to every one of the cards that you make. So, all right, just doing it, and it ties really nicely as as I'm trying to wrestle with it. But yeah, it does tie really nicely. Ties pretty bows and that sort of thing. So, and you can use it, just tie a little knot and use it for masculine cards. So it's one of those embellishments that works for almost everything. So, all right, so we got that on there. Probably better trim up those ends just a little bit. All right, Karen says, what items are on back order? Or when they are on back order, to Stampin' Up! Charge additional postage if you choose to place an order with it in it. I wish our mowers would get here. Oh, so our grass is starting to get a little deep here too. We've had some warm days. So, but to answer your question, no, Stampin' Up! Does not charge you any additional shipping fees. The items just ship out later. That's all. They ship out as soon as they are actually back in stock. So that is a nice little bonus that as long as you're able to order it, it doesn't cost you anything additional. Stampin' Up! Just sends it out when it's ready. So let me know if you have other questions about that. All right, we are going to start doing a little stamping. All of the photopolymer images that I'm using here are from the Meadow stamp set, and we're going to start with some soft suede ink, and we're going to stamp the little gazebo image. And I find that when I start these scene type cards, the outdoor scene cards, I pick what's in the middle of my scene, or kind of what I want to anchor it, which in this case is going to be the little gazebo image. And I start with that, and then I build up and down from there. It's a little more difficult if you start at the bottom and try to go up, because your placement of things is probably not going to be what you want it to be. So I have found, for me, it's easier. Now I'll probably screw this all up now that I say that, but for me it's easier to do the stamping, to start kind of in the middle and build up and down from there. So got a little granny apple green, and we're going to stamp some of the grass here. The one thing that was a little interesting about this one is trying to get the gazebo so that it looked like it was grounded and not floating in midair. So I had to do a little creative stamping, and I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. Just kind of had to do a little extra stamping around it that I maybe wouldn't have normally done if I hadn't put the gazebo on. So one of it was kind of stamped back here so that it didn't look like it was floating in midair. And then I'm going to do a little stamping around here to make sure that we ground our, whoop, I guess I'm not done with this yet. So make sure that we ground our gazebo. So, all right, the next thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to leave my granny apple green here for a second and do pool party and get the water stamped. So, hey, Catherine, I'm glad that you're here and glad that you're hopping in from Maryland. Hopefully you're doing okay there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put the water in, and these images actually line up fairly nicely. Hopefully, now that I say that, it will. I think I'm going to move this up a little bit. There we go. I'll be able to get it stamped here. All right. Not too bad. So I'm going to put this one away for a second since I'm done with that for the moment, and go back to granny apple green here again. And we're going to stamp the water, or the grass on the other side of the water over here, which again, these are designed to kind of work together. They don't line up exactly perfectly, but it's supposed to look a little artsy. So we'll just go with that it's supposed to look a little artsy. And I apologize again, my nose is dripping, so I'm sorry that hopefully I'm trying not to sniffle in the camera too much. So, but yeah, welcome to seasonal allergy in Amy's world. It's icky. All right, so we got a little bit of crumb cake ink. So didn't think that you wanted that set. Yes, you see, you need to get this set because it's really awesome. You'll have fun using it. It's a lot. It's cute. It's fun. It's easy to use. So definitely you need it. So, all right, stamping the bridge in crumb cake ink. Super simple. And then I'm going to go ahead while I have this out and stamp my trees over here off to the side. And I sort of put them off, I think about right there. All right, and then I'm going to close that one up, so hopefully I will not stick my fingers in it again. Next up, I think we're going to go back to the granny apple green again, and it's kind of interesting to try to find all these little pieces back as I'm stamping, because I put them all on blocks, and now I'm like, okay, so where's the tree topper image? So got a little tree topper image, just using some granny apple green ink again to stamp the tree images. And then I'm going to also use, there's a little set of stems that goes with the tulips that I stamped. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the stems while I'm here as well. You still need to get it too, Karen? I can't believe the two of you don't have this set. Both of you need it. It's definitely one of those must-get sets. So it's a good one. I really like it a lot. So, all right, so let's go, and next color is Mango Melody, and that is what I used to stamp the, where in the world did I put them? Oh, here we go. Yeah, they're on the other side of the treetop. I'm like, where did I put the tulips at? So, you know what? I need to pick this image off, though, because I can't see what I'm doing here. All right, and this one I just stamped. It's 3 little tulips, and I actually stamped it 3 times over, just sort of over the top of the little stem image. I know that they are not placed perfectly, but again, it's supposed to look a little artsy, so I wasn't too terribly worried about the exact placement of them. I just sort of stamped it and tried to make it look like it was a clump of tulips rather than, you know, a few bare stems. So you have it and just need some ideas. It's, like I said, it's a good set. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun to use. So, all right, so here's where I had to start getting a little creative, because all of a sudden I'm like, you know, that's kind of bare around here, and I don't necessarily love the way that looks. So I had to get a little creative and figure out which pieces I could get to sort of fit and stamp in. I actually think I'm probably going to go this way with that. And again, each one's going to end up a little bit different. So last time around, I was able to put this image in this way around. This time I must have stamped the bridge a little bit closer. Actually, you know what? Maybe I can get it to work in there. I think that'll work after all. So Granny Apple Green, we're going to add some grass back in here. Yep, I think that worked out all right. So just to kind of make it look not quite so bare underneath the bridge, and then went back in, clean this image quick. And Catherine Miller saying she does cute cards and shows us how to use each set. See, yes, that's my goal in life, is to show you all that you need every single stamp set, because I can't be the only one who has every one of them in the catalog. Then I start to feel like one of those hoarder people, and I don't want to feel that way. So I figure I got to get you guys all to buy them too, then I won't feel quite as bad. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it anyway. All right, next up we used gray granite, and I just did a little bit of stamping. Again, this image, which I think is supposed to be a cloud, but I turned it into grass, into dirt. So, all right. Next thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of stamping with the rock image. And again, gray granite ink, and I'm just stamping it over the top of the original image that I had there. And going to do a little bit of stamping along the side of the creek so that it looks like there are a few rocks along the side as well. I think that's good. And then the next thing that I did was stamp some birds, which again were also stamped in gray granite ink up here above the trees. So Barbara says she has the set and hasn't used it yet. So yeah, see, you need to pull it off your shelf today because it's a good one. I like it. So, all right, now we're going to pull out the Pool Party ink again and stamp a few clouds around the card front. So this is one of those where I'm going to stamp, and hopefully I don't have too much ink on my fingers, going to stamp one kind of full strength, and then I'm going to come back in and stamp a second one over the top of it, which is stamped off, and you can, I'm sure, barely see it on the camera, but I can see it here, and then I'm going to come back in and do one here, and then another one that's stamped off there, and I think we'll come in around this side and do one here. And maybe a stamped off one about there. All right, I think we pretty well have the scene on the front of our card done. So I want to close up the ink and try not to stick my fingers in any of those, which I do almost every time. So, all right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I took the largest of the stitched So Sweetly rectangles, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it around the card, or around the little image that I just stamped. And again, I know that a little bit of it is going to be cut off. And I guess I should have started with this too, but one other tip that I have is to cut even if you're going to do like I'm doing and die cut the piece of paper out, cut your cardstock that you're stamping on down to a similar size. It doesn't have to be exactly the same size, but a similar size to what your final piece is going to be, so that you kind of know where to stamp things too. That'll also help you placement-wise if you start in the middle and build up and down. But if you have your piece of paper pretty well cut to the size that you're going to be ending up with as your final on your project, then you kind of have a good idea of where to place things so that you don't end up with all your trees stamped off the edge of the die cut, if that makes sense. So hopefully that does. All right. Oh, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go and run this through my die cutting machine quickly over here. And I did finally move my die cutting machine over to a table next to me. So I'm hoping, I know you can still hear it, but I'm hoping it doesn't shake the table as badly as it used to. So trying new things as I go along here, like I said, along with my new phone. So, all right, so we've got that die cutting done. So that is our final piece that we ended up with there. One other tip, which I know we talked about, I think it was on Facebook, we were talking about this with my most recent video. When you're using the rectangular dies in particular, or any of the larger ones that have a straight edge, turn it just slightly and run it through your die cutting machine so it rolls across this way rather than straight through, because it hits that bump over here and it has like a big clunk and you really have to crank it, and it actually doesn't cut as nicely as if you angle it just slightly and run it through that way rather than running it through straight. So that's one of the quick tips that I have for you as well when you're using the larger dies, particularly the rectangular type ones. Okay, so we have got our little scene, outdoor scene, I guess we'll call it, because it's not a spring scene, I guess we can call it that. So taking a couple Stampin' dimensionals and adhering those on the back. Let me see if I can get the covers picked off. Thank you. I appreciate that, Denise and Patricia. So thanks so much. I'm glad that you're liking the card. And like I said, hopefully if you have the stamp set, you're going to pull it out and use it. And if you don't, you definitely need to add it to your list because it's a good one. So, all right, we are going to take the die cut that we just did and adhere it onto the card front. And I'm probably going to shove that twine down just a little bit here before I stick everything down permanently. All right. All right, I think that's good. I think we're on there fairly straight. So there we are with that piece. The next thing that I did was stamp the sentiment, and actually, believe it or not, I was out of blocks. so I have to actually stick the sentiment on another block here on the back of one of these, and using a little Mango Melody ink, we're going to stamp that. And doesn't need to be stamped in any particularly pretty or nice way because we're going to die cut it as well. And just going to use, this time we're using the smallest of the rectangle dies from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And you can see I stamped it all kinds of crazy crooked, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to do a quick run through the die cutting machine over here. So nobody will be able to tell I stamped it all crazy crooked. All right. I'll run this through quick. Okay, all right, so our sentiment is all done and cut out. I'm going to put a little bit of snail up here at the top. And then a couple of little half Stampin' dimensionals down at the bottom. And hopefully I did it the right way around. Yep, I did. Had that moment of, uh-oh, did I check to make sure I was putting these on the right way around? I did. Phew, thank goodness. All right, peel off the backing on those dimensionals. And then I'm going to adhere it so that the snail part is up on this piece of the panel, and the little Stampin' dimensionals are down on the wood grain panel. All right, and I think we've got it on there straight. And then the last thing that I added on the front was one of the glitter enamel dots, which we have some Granny Apple Green glitter enamel dots, so I'm going to use one of those. And like I said, I'm fearful that this set of embellishments is probably going to go away at the end of the catalog, just because of particularly I think it's supposed to be lovely lipstick in there, but this is one of my favorite embellishments ever. So if you don't have them, get stocked up on them now before the retiring list gets announced, and then you can't get them anymore. So, all right, so we are done with the card front. So we've got just the inside of the card left. Got a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to do a little bit of stamping on the inside. Not nearly as much as we did on the outside, but going to start with some Granny Apple Green and the larger grass image here. And we're going to stamp that down quickly over the corner. And it is spring break here this week, so I can hear my daughters walking down the hall talking away. So she may pop her head in here and say hello if she does. Oh, well. Whoop, there we go. So if she does, you may hear her chattering in the background. But do a little Stampin' of the Trees and crumb cake ink. Hey, Lori, glad that you're here, so no problem. So Marilyn says that she's watching from Prince George, BC. Catching you late. Well, I'm glad that you're here, so glad that you're enjoying it. And thank you very much for your nice comments on my card, so I appreciate that. Let's see. I need to get the stems here for the little tulips that I'm going to stamp down here in the corner. And then the treetops I need to get stamped as well. So I think I will flip this one over, stick that back on there, and stamp the little treetops. Again, Granny Apple Green ink if I haven't said that already. Just stamping them over the top of the trees that I'd stamped in crumb cake ink. Set that aside. Yeah, the biggest problem I'm having right now is trying to find space to set everything down so I don't accidentally put one of my inked up stamps on top of my card. So, and then the last thing I'm going to do is just add in a couple of the little tulips here again. You know what? It's that darn image that's in the way again. So a couple of the tulips here in Mango Melody, again over the top of the little stems that I've just stamped. And that's it for the inside of the card. So let me get these stamps out of the way and try to get some of the green off my fingers before I start touching the white cardstock, because I know that I will end up with green all over my white cardstock in places I don't want if I don't do that. So, all right, just flip it over and put the inside of the card together. and then use bone folder to give it a good solid crease, and that is it for the card today. So this is the one we made on the video today. This is the one that I used as my sample card. So like I said, they turn out a little bit differently each time you use these, just because unless you use the Stamparatus, it's really hard to get everything placed exactly where it was on the first card, but I think we came out pretty close. So hopefully hopefully you like it, and hopefully you like or have a good time playing with this stamp set. It's a good one. Like I said, my Meadow is definitely one that I like a lot. Any of these kind of scene stamp sets I love, and lots of fun to play with and see what you can create with it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I will plan to be back on Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on my Facebook page, and again here on YouTube Live on Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And school will be back in session, so if things end up changing because of school schedules, I will definitely post and let you know, but otherwise I'll plan to see you then. Thanks so much for joining today. Have a good weekend, and hope that everybody stays well and stays safe, and we will chat again next week.